Driving somewhere, and you got a cassette on your car, you got a CD in your car, you got a playlist in your car, and you think, I'm going to get there, I've got two songs to go. And you know you have to make a decision when you get there, so you go a couple of times around the block and you just keep going. I had a friend that lived in America, and I said, how far away do you live from the office? He said, I live about 4 songs away. When we were young, my father, he liked to take us on holiday, and he loved English seaside towns. And to my shame and dismay, he never discovered Brighton. He would have loved it here. He loved the pier, the putting green, all that kind of stuff. We'd come in the car, we'd come from the city of Dundee, which is a long way north. And it'd be a big, big expedition. You had to put a seatbelt on to go on the motorway, didn't like that. And a couple of years ago, I started to write down some memories about these times when I was younger and the people that were around me, and trying to think whether this would make some kind of song. And I couldn't work out what was the common theme of the song, really, because they were all just different memories. And then I realized what it was about was sometimes feeling, and sometimes being just surrounded by love. This is called On Love. Spent a lot of time with his grandparents. They lived 1 floor up in a tenement on the Hawk Hill. In the mornings, he'd go up to see his grandfather in a small hut in the graveyard where he kept watch while nothing moved. On some days, he'd stop above the railway yards and sit and just gaze at the trains. They'd walk slowly looking at where all the railings had been taken down. He'd heard they needed them to melt them down for iron during the wars, and he wondered why they didn't just rip them off and use them as spears to throw at each other. Then he watched the old man as he shaved and got ready to go out. Do I need to talk everything out? Only 2 songs away from your house. Love never had a reason before. So what you wanna know if it never had a reason before? What you trying to make sense for? What you trying to make sense for? Just before the decade changed, he took a long rail journey into England. It was early August and he went with his grandfather to join his family on holiday. The slow summer train wound its way south over the Tay and Forth valleys as he got talking to a traveller about life in other parts. The traveller told him about playing football in Glasgow and hurting his skin on the ashes in the red blaze. As the carriage got warmer, his head began to hurt and he stopped talking with his grandfather. He tried to cheer the boy up, and after a while, the boy felt bad. Do I need to talk everything out? Only 2 songs away from your house. Love never had a reason before. So what you wanna know if it never had a reason before? What you trying to make sense for? What you trying trying to make sense for? In the early days, she was someone who lived nearby. One day she caught his eye from across the hall as an orchestra was playing, and neither the musicians or the audience could distract him from keeping looking. Outside in the square, he kept trying to find her. Years later, he received a letter from her daughter. She'd moved with her family to Australia, and now they'd lost her mother. She remembered a conversation she'd had with her as she lay dying, which brought him to mind. So she wrote telling him about how her life had gone since that day at the concert hall. Never got to talk everything out. Only 2 songs away from your love. Never had a reason before. So what you wanna know? If we never had a reason before, what you trying to make sense for? What you trying to make sense for? Sometimes old memories seem to get lost. It's like they're on fire and even trying to get back to them is pointless. It seems now looking back on it, there were 2 kinds of people. Who you wanted to be and never were, and the good ones you ignored for too long, then it was too late. One day an older boy came up to him and looked him up and down. Returning to his crowd, they all laughed like crows as the older boy ridiculed the kid. He remembered that day for the rest of his life. And from that time on, he only ever wanted to join the laughing crowd of crows. Never got to talk everything out. Only 2 songs away from your heart. Love. Never had a reason before. So what you wanna know? If it never had a reason before, what you trying to make sense for? What you trying to make sense for? When he first fell in love, he was at a distance. He'd follow her miles behind on the road, but close enough to see how her head moved. He liked the fact she seemed so content just walking by herself each morning, and all that time, he never once caught up with her. Later on, he told her all this as he sat up and watched the sunrise in the meadows. One day he found out he wasn't the only one who walked there with her. And it hurt like hell when she left him on one of those slow journeys. And somehow, her feet just carried on, and her head moved that way it seemed 1,000,000 times before.